Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, I've got the tie on, we've got the Chop Hollow music playing in the background, you all know what time that means it is. It's time for some more Pokemon Sleep news. Well, this is a bit more, this almost isn't enough to discuss. This event, it's a new event they just announced, but the implications that this event brings in just enough stuff to discuss going forward. So, what's going on? Well, we got Triple Type Week. It's an event week that's for Water, Electric, and Fire-type Pokemon. Specifically, in preparation for the Raikou, Entei, and Suicune research event. They are announcing more in a future update. So pretty much all we know right now is that the Raikou, Entei, Suicune research event is happening, and that this event is to give us preparation for it. Now, in the past, Fire types, Electric types, and Water types have been particularly useful for their particular Legendaries event. Additionally, Psychic types for the Cresselia versus Darkrai event were very useful. So it looks like they're going to be doing something for all three of them. Maybe only one of them. We don't know. Maybe you'll get to choose. I have no idea. Nobody has any idea. But in some way, a Fire type or a Water type or Electric type is going to be boosted by the event. That is the first implication that I wanted to discuss. That these Pokemon will actually be useful during the Raikou, Suicune, Entei research event. I wasn't sure if they were going to give us one of these event weeks, one of these preparation weeks, just because there are three types. So I didn't know if they were actually going to make one more useful than the other. But we're probably going to see a standard type bonus applied to one or all of them, depending upon choice. Well, it's either going to be all of them, or it's going to be one depending upon choice if you get to choose, which I don't think they're going to do that. It'll probably be just all of them boosted, which means a lot of boosts. That means that this event is going to be insane, because there's going to be three, if that's the way they go about it, there's going to be three types that have the standard type bonus. Standard type bonus of 1.5 times trigger rate, plus one ingredient when ingredient procs are found, and fixed favored berry. If that's the case, we already know what the favorite berries are going to be that week. Or during that week-long event, or 2-week-long event. Because there are only three types that it could be. Water, fire, and electric. But then also, if they all have the 1.5 times skill trigger rate, and all have the plus one ingredient, that's a lot of Pokemon to have those boosts. So that is something that you can maybe start kind of semi-sort of planning around, but I wouldn't get too deep into it. Just because we don't know. We don't know. It's all just theorizing. But there is an idea that these Pokemon will at least be somewhat boosted during their event. Now, there is a mini candy boost functionality. Raise the Pokemon, cost more, Dream Shards. At this point, with how many mini candy boosts they're giving us, probably get yourself a Swalot. That's all I will say about that, if you're later game especially. But mini candy boost, it's expensive. It gets you free candies, or it basically just gets you more candies. More value out of your candies. But this is happening August 25th to September 1st. Now, I did want to discuss a little implications with that, and that is when looking at the calendar. Now, I've thrown together a little calendar here. I've done this sort of analysis before. Right now, we're in the midst of Super Skills Week Volume 2. I marked that out right here. And then we're going to have 1 week of downtime, and then the New Moon event at the end of that week. And then it's Triple Type Week, this event that they just announced. Now, that is set in stone. This is confirmed. Now, typically in the past, every time that we've had a legendary event, it has its type week 2 weeks prior. So they give us the type week, and then they give us 1 week off, and then it's the event, the legendary event. Now, typically speaking, the legendary events run for 2 weeks. And interestingly, this one starts overlapping a full moon, which is and it's a particularly notable full moon, just because this one actually is a lunar eclipse. Now, the game has never done anything with a lunar eclipse in the past. I remember one that happened. I stood up to watch the lunar eclipse, and they did nothing special for the lunar eclipse versus the regular full moon. But this time around, this total lunar eclipse is visible from Japan, which is where I'm pretty certain that's where the game devs are stationed out of. So, having the total lunar eclipse visible from there, maybe they'll do something with it. No guarantees there, just mentioning it because it's fun to mention, and the full moon is notable anyway. But then we have the Beast Tree Run event, which should be running 2 weeks at least. Now, I made a second mini calendar to propose, what if they give us 3 weeks of event? And I saw some of you guys discussing this in the Discord, but they could do this. They could make it a 3-week long event. It'd be our very first ever 3-week-long event. But they could do 1 week for Raikou, 1 week for Entei, 1 week for Suicune, in which case it'd be 3 mini-weeks almost. And that could explain how we could have the type bonus apply 1 each week. First week, electric's boosted. Second week, fire type's boosted. Third week, water type's boosted. So that is a hypothetical theory of where things could go. And then it would overlap with both the full moon and more than just the start of the new moon. Now, I did also want to discuss, after that point, what's to come around. Even if it runs all the way through the 28th for the Beast 3-1 event, even if they do 3 weeks, that still gives us quite a bit of time before the next, like, fixed expected event of Halloween. We'd have, like, 4 weeks downtime, 5 weeks if it's only a 2-week-long event. And I would expect there to be something else in there, so there's probably going to be some sort of event in that meantime, if I had to guess. Something that we can't predict. Because it's not until November that we've been told about the Amber Canyon. Now, if I remove the Amber Canyon theories away, the recurring events that we would expect are Halloween, occurring because Halloween's the 31st, Eevee Week, Eevee Day is the 21st. We would expect Halloween to be the 27th to the 2nd because that overlaps the 31st. And Eevee Week we would expect to be the 17th to the 23rd. They've done both these events both years that the game has been out. That gives us literally only 2 options for the Amber Canyon event. And Amber Canyon, a new island being released, we know it's going to be in November. And I kind of discussed this before, but we know it's going to be in November. They didn't tell us late November, early November, but either way, there's only literally, unless they make it overlap one of these other events, they could either shove it in between, shoehorn it in between Halloween event and Eevee Week, or put it after Eevee Week. In which case, either way, we're getting 3 weeks of events in a row, or we're getting 4 weeks back to back to back right here. Halloween, straight into 2 weeks of Amber Canyon, into Eevee Week. Fortunately, Eevee Week isn't too crazy of an event week, and honestly, you could probably treat it like an off week if they do the exact same with it as they have before. Again, it's a really tame event. But I just wanted to discuss the event calendar a little bit and the implications of having Triple Type Week in 2 weeks here. So, that's kind of what there is to discuss about the timing of it. As for what sort of boosts are active, it's very similar to what we've had from other type weeks for Psychic Type Week, Electric Type Week, Fire Type Week, and Water Type Week in the past. They give one Pokemon for sure extra hungry, certain Pokemon more likely to appear during the sleep research, which is the types that are boosted, and then mini candy boost, and then a few pseudo balance sleep. Nothing too crazy there. But one other notable thing about this, no announced new Pokemon. For every other time that we've had this, we've had a new Pokemon with the Type Week. With Psychic Week, we had Musharna and Musharna added. Electric Week, we had Dedenne added. Fire Type Week, we had Ninetales added and Vulpix. And Water Type Week, we had Quagsire added and Wooper, the first one, not the Paldean. And this week, they're not giving us a new Pokemon, which is alright. We've had a lot of new Pokemon lately, with both Toxtricity, with the Hoenn starters, with Plusle and Minun. A lot of Pokemon got added that we weren't even necessarily expecting, so they're giving us a little bit of a slowdown on the releasing new Pokemon. But now, as for what this week will actually look like, there are 47 different Pokemon that are boosted during this event. That is a lot. And something very notable here, it is a greater appearance rate. In the past, a lot of, I don't know what the other type weeks looked like, if they were greater appearance rate or slightly a greater appearance rate. But I can tell you one thing. A lot of events that we have are only slightly greater appearance rate, which there's a big difference between slightly greater and greater. Slightly greater may as well not be much of a boost at all. It may just be counteracting the negative downsides of pseudo-balancing, making it that you're not going to see as many of the Pokemon you're targeting because it's limiting the typing pool. It feels not super boosted, but kind of boosted. Greater, they boost things significantly. I remember actually seeing complaint posts back during the anniversary, the pre-anniversary event that they did, where they boosted the Paldean starters as a reminiscing over last year. When they did that, they boosted the Paldean starters with a greater appearance rate, not with a slightly greater appearance rate. And there were complaint posts about the fact that they were encountering so many Paldean starters, it was all they were encountering. That was with 9 Pokemon being greater appearance rate. This is 47 Pokemon being at a greater appearance rate. You're not going to see, like, any other types during that event, I swear. You'll maybe get, like, 1 or 2 Pokemon. But with 47 Pokemon with a greater appearance rate, unless you go to an island that doesn't have very many, like, you could go to Snowdrop and maybe encounter some, or Lapis, just because there's a much tighter spawn pool. But if you're somewhere like Greengrass, Cyan, or Greengrass Expert, even Old Gold Power Plant has a lot. If you're at any of those islands, it's just gonna be like nothing but fire, water, and electric types, realistically. But if you do really want to hunt a specific Pokemon during this time frame, now is kind of the time, but there's so many things boosted, it's gonna be difficult to hunt a specific, unless one of the Pokemon that you want to hunt is either one of them that's spawning at Lapis or at Snowdrop. So if you want to hunt Psyduck, Mareep, Slowpoke, or the Pawmi line, then go to Snowdrop. If you want to hunt Squirtle, Psyduck, Pichu, Torchic, Dedenne, or Quaxly, Dedenne is probably the most notable there, then maybe go to Lapis. But all the rest of them, there's going to be so many boosted spawns, I don't know if you're really going to be able to target anything in particular. But you can kind of look through them, figure out which island's going to be the best for you. I feel like a lot of players that are late game are just going to go Greengrass Expert because they're still building up that Expert bonus. But you don't have to. You only can buy so many tickets a month, so you don't have to go to a Greengrass Expert every single week because there is a hard limit to how often you can go there. But anyway, that's basically all I really had to discuss about this event. It's really not too crazy of an event. If you have enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, especially if you want to see more news videos like this one shortly after the news drops. Down in the description, we'll have a link to join the Discord. You can come join us, hang out, talk about all things Pokemon Sleep and the like. A huge, huge thank you to all my channel members. It really means a lot to me that you guys want to show your support financially, despite there being no paid rewards for members. If you too want to become a channel member and are financially capable of doing so, the join button is down below. And as always, I thank you all for watching and hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.